Hey guys, it's your boy Kenny Boulder with another Pokemon video. So today we're going to be discussing about the differences and the similarities between a Pokemon investor and a Pokemon scalper. And before I begin this video, I just want to make it very clear that if you have a Pokemon sealed collection, okay? A sealed collection of Pokemon cards is not the same as Pokemon investing. I think a lot of people have been putting a lot of words in my mouth saying that I've been accusing people of having a sealed collection and therefore they are, like you're basically a scalper. That is not true. I've made it very clear, and wearing this same shirt, I actually washed it, let me be pretty clear, that I also have a sealed collection. But the problem right now is that self-described Pokemon investors are completely different in a different ball game. They're not the same thing. And with that said, I have this amazing graph that we're going to go over right now. So here we go. We have Pokemon scalpers on the left side. We have Pokemon investors on the right side. And then we have me on the very top. I'm not part of this bubble because one, I'm a clown. And two, I'm a hoarder. So I hoard Pokemon cards too. But I'm not going to put myself in this bubble right now. So we're going to start off with Pokemon card scalpers, okay? Pokemon card scalpers are short-term holders. They immediately sell for profit. And what that means is, they just sell for money's sake. They want to make money. And they're not going to hold and, have Pokemon cards for a while. They usually buy it and then immediately sell it off. Compared to Pokemon investors, they are long-term holders. And of course, blah, 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 5 years, return of ROI, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to emphasize, Pokemon investors, they are going to be in for the long haul, but they do plan to sell. And we'll say that right now, right over here, right in the middle. They are selling Pokemon cards, whether that be for the short term or for the long term. In their eyes, it is to make money. And the key difference, obviously, is scalpers will want to flip it right away. They want to make the money right away because their credit cards are hurting, Their credit cards are going to be affected by buying Pokemon cards and then needing to flip it and making their money back. Compared to long-term Pokemon investors, they are going to eventually sell. It just depends when and if they're going to sell. And so I want to emphasize that not all Pokemon investors are going to be selling right away, but some of them will take profits in the short term. They will be like, you know what, I need some money right now, and I gotta sell and flip some of my Pokemon cards, which immediately makes you into a Pokemon scalper. And in my opinion, I just want to be crystal clear here. I do think Pokemon investors and Pokemon card scalpers are two sides of the same coin. Because at the end of the day here, they're trying to make money. They're trying to make a profit. And so next thing we're going to talk about is Pokemon scalpers exploring demand and hype, using scarcity to find and maximize profits. And with that said, I got some pictures. I got some pics here, as they say. And one of them is going to be an old favorite. This is Mad Rat Toys. So Mad Rat Toys, I covered them. This is one of my earliest, commentary videos that I made. They basically were Pokemon card scalpers who owned a local card shop, okay? So they own a local card shop here. And then they basically went into Costco, bought out every single Zapdos 151 box. And so we all know 151 is one of the most hyped sets of the Scarlet and Violet era. And because of that, people wanted to buy it. But these clowns, these scalpers went into a Costco, bought all the Pokemon cards, went back to their shop, immediately put them in their shop, and now they're selling their scalp Pokemon cards. This is what I'm talking about. This is a definition of a scalper. Maximizing hype and obviously using that to their advantage because people want the set and they're going to pay a primo price for it. So that is a key example of exploiting demand and hype. On the other side, we have some... I want to be, I'll be honest with you. There is nuance to this. Pokemon card investors have some interest in the hobby. And I think that they have an interest beyond the profit as well. Some of them won't sell stuff because they have sentimental value to them. And what that means is, let's say you have a graded card, a PSA 10 Charizard. You're not going to sell that ever. And you're going to keep that in your investment portfolio. Sure. But I want to emphasize that a lot of Pokemon investors are, this is a spectrum. This is not that simple. Some investors would be like, you know what? I don't give a shit about this PSA 10 Charizard. I'm going to flip it eventually. It's going to be worth a lot of money in 5 years, 10 years. I'm going to eventually sell it off, and it's going to be for someone else in the future. And again, I want to make this clear for a second time. Because if you have a sealed collection, it does not mean that you're strictly a Pokemon investor. A lot of Pokemon investors have PSA graded cards. A lot of Pokemon investors have a wide range of things. I think a lot of people that have been calling me out lately saying that I equate sealed collection equals investor. That is not true. Pokemon investors, again, can have PSA 10s. They can have open product. They can have stuff that is graded again. It does not have to be sealed product. Alright. Next thing I want to talk about is Pokemon cards is a source for income or potential earnings. So this is something I want to highlight compared to the Pokemon card collectors here. This is what is the difference between you and me, Pokemon investors, Pokemon scalpers, rip and shippers. They see and value that Pokemon card is a potential source of earnings or to make money. I, as a collector, don't see it that way. I enjoy Pokemon cards as vanilla as it gets. I'm boring. I like the cards. I like the Pokemon. I win. Regardless of if I get big hits, regardless if I get small hits, I'm happy. The dopamine is there. For a lot of people who are Pokemon scalpers and Pokemon investors, they care about just the income and the potential earnings. And that is the problem with the hobby right now, is the money, the value. And I talk about this a lot in my Pokemon card videos, is that we've lost our way. We see more toxic and more greedy people in the hobby than ever before. Because of this idea is you can make money off of Pokemon cards. That is the problem. And I have a picture of a Pokemon investor here. So this is a Pokemon investor with just tons and tons of boxes here, okay? So they have, their entire garage is filled with Pokemon cards. Each of these boxes is filled with Pokemon cards, which leads us to our other point, is that they are scalpers and Pokemon investors are hoarders. And don't get me wrong, if you look at my seal collection, if you look at the stuff that I have, I also look like a hoarder. But they take this to another level. They hoard tons of Pokemon cards like this. So this is another famous screenshot. This person has over 100 2021 spring collection tins with evolving skies. They have 151 Zapdos. They look like hoarders. And my whole message and my whole thing is that what is the difference between this picture and this picture of scalpers buying out all the prismatic evolutions this week? Or not this week, earlier this year. There is no difference in my opinion. You have this in your room, you look like a hoarder. You have like this in your room, you are a hoarder. It is the same thing. They're hoarding Pokemon cards in large quantities. And so another thing I want to talk about is that a lot of collectors eventually become sealed investors. And what that means is that, hey, you start doing the classic, I call it the pipeline to being an investor is, hey, I just want to have a sealed collection. I want to buy one ETB and I want to rip one ETB, okay? You follow me right now? Eventually that one ETB that they keep sealing, oh, if I keep this, I'm going to make money off of it eventually. And eventually, maybe I don't want to rip it. Maybe I want to sell it or make some money off of it. And, my seal collection, for me personally, and I say this because I want to share my own comparison. You can give me your own reasons as well. Is having a seal collection for me means that I can rip it eventually, right? I want to open these cards eventually, or in some naive case, maybe I want to open this with, if I ever have kids or anything like that in the future. If I have kids, they're gonna rip it with me. We're all gonna be happy. That is, yeah, that's fine. That's that's okay. A lot of Pokemon seal collectors eventually fall on the investor, logic, which is, hey, this actually is going to be worth a lot of money in the future. I'm just going to keep hoarding this, keeping it in my inventory, until it's going to be so much money, I'm going to sell it. And that opens the pipeline. That opens the logic here is that if you have a sealed box, it's going to be worth money. And I have this right now. This is a picture from, actually, no, that's the wrong one. This is another picture here of someone's Pokemon sealed collection. And they have a bunch of booster boxes and ETBs. I think this person probably had that idea once upon a time, saying, yo, I want to have one sealed and one to rip. And eventually they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get as much as I can. Oh, and suddenly now they have over 15 Evolving Skies ETBs. They have a bunch of 25th anniversary ETBs. And they have who knows how many booster boxes here. So it's just a slippery slope. And I will emphasize that some investors will be like, no, Kenny Boulder, I am a Pokemon fan. I am a collector still. I just also see the monetary value of it. And which also goes into my other point is that they become Wall Street bets and Wall Street meme stock vibes. And that's why this picture kind of captures this. This is from the Wall Street Journal, okay? Wall Street Journal this year, 2025. The hot investment with a 3,000 return, Pokemon cards. Basically, people have become, like, obsessed with making money. I don't know why. I get it. It's a tough market. Maybe some people are worried about the economy. And maybe people are worried about the Pokemon bubble, blah, blah, blah. And they've turned into Pokemon cards as a source of investment, of making money. And it's just greed. This idea of making money, of maximizing your profit, of basically using and leveraging the Pokemon cards as a hobby is the same thing in the middle. So we talk about this a lot. It is, end of the day, the idea is selling above original retail costs. That is a similarity between Pokemon card investors and Pokemon card scalpers. So when I talk about Pokemon card investors, I have a treasure trove of like pictures and like screenshots of Pokemon card investors. One of the pictures I'm about to show you, I covered another video. This was a Malaysia Pokemon investor, okay? His entire room, his entire like space was full of Pokemon cards. All sealed, by the way. You have all these Pokemon cards everywhere. And by his estimates, he had approximately $500,000 worth of Pokemon cards. All sealed. And eventually, you know, most of this stuff is from within the last 5 years. And some Pokemon investors have been in the game since 2015, since 2011, whatever. They've been part of this community, and now people are looking at Pokemon cards as a way to make money. And so the story for this Malaysia Pokemon investor is that he eventually sold. He basically had all these Pokemon cards, all this sealed product, and he got, I think, approximately $400,000. So his value was $500K. He sold at approximately $425K. I don't know the exact number, and I honestly don't care. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that a lot of Pokemon investors, if offered the cash, if offered the chance to sell, to cash out, they will absolutely take it. And that is why I think that they're in the same category as scalpers, which is selling above retail costs. Regardless of how much it is, regardless of how much they paid for it, they're willing to pay it as long as they make money off of it. And so we're going back to the simple stuff now. The simple stuff is right here. Often found, this is Pokemon card scalpers. They're often found in Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and third-party resellers. And what that means is that they usually try to sell this at various secondary party websites. They are the secondary market, so to speak. And I have another picture as well, because I love these pictures. This is a Pokemon scalper showing off his giant tower of 151 Costco, mini tins. This is another picture of a scalper selling off all of their another more Pokemon Costco tins as well. They bought the whole palette. And of course, this picture here is a scalper holding up a sign saying his name and listing all of his Pokemon cards on a Facebook Market listing. So my point here is that these guys think themselves as entrepreneurs, as business people. You know, don't hate the game, or don't hate the player, hate the game. This hustle mentality is everywhere for Pokemon card scalpers. And I think that this is a little bit different from Pokemon card investors. I think there is a genuine sense of keeping their collections under the radar. And I think a lot of Pokemon investors won't be open about how much product they have, and they'll kind of keep it hush-hush. Whereas Pokemon card scalpers are, hey, look how much product I have. Look how much I've gained and how much I've bought and how much I plan to resell in the Pokemon card community. That is a big difference between the two, and I will acknowledge that. And of course, I made a joke here. You know, for Pokemon card scalpers, their favorite Pokemon is included but not limited to Charizard, Charizard EX, Umbreon, and Pikachu. And what that means is that they don't give a shit about Pokemon. They have no interest in the hobby. They don't care about anything. They're going to call it Pokemon, you know, Pokemon, Pocket Monsters. Just kidding. That's what the OGs say. But the point I'm trying to make is that Pokemon scalpers are in it to win it. They love the game, they love making money, and they are only invested, which is ironic me saying that, they're only invested with making a profit. Which goes us back to the Pokemon investors. Their favorite Pokemon is probably going to be the most expensive Pokemon card in their collection. And I know this is a bit of a dig, because I know a lot of collectors out there are going to be like, whoa, hey Kenny Boulder, I'm a Pokemon investor, and my favorite Pokemon is going to be Sudowoodo or something. Well, I think that a lot of Pokemon investors, they've kind of lost their sense of connecting to the community because they do value the money in it. And it's a dig. I'll be honest with you, it is a dig. Their most expensive card in their collection, but my point is that a lot of Pokemon investors, they value the investing side of things rather than the actual cards themselves. They value how much the items are worth rather than the actual Pokemon themselves. And so we go into some more similarities. So, by all logic, between both parties, investors and scalpers, scarcity is good. Both purchases and denying the customer is good. And what that means is, to them, if there's less Pokemon cards in the market, if there's less PSA 10s, if there's less sealed product, there's going to be more demand. Whether that be now or in the future. And what that means is both sides agree that having more is good and other people having less is good as well. So this means that scarcity, limited products in the market is going to be a good thing because it's going to help only the scalpers and the Pokemon investors. Less on the market, more demand, more supply for us because we have all the supply. Therefore, we're making a lot of profits and we're making a lot of money. And so this is me basically just saying that they don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about collectors. If a Pokemon investor is going to buy out everything, they're going to be happy about the amount of product they have. If you and me get the same amount, they're going to be pissed off. They're going to be upset because, one, we're not going to buy from a potential buyer from them. And two, basically, it just says that we're not interested in the stuff that they have that they're going to sell eventually. Next one is going to be Discord servers and communities. Both of them have this. This is a common thing I've seen before is that both Pokemon investors, both scalpers, have dedicated communities to basically locate and find stock. And the reality is that they're going to use these communities, they're going to use these servers, this access, to basically get as much as they can, which leads us into one thing I like to attribute to them. Whether you agree with me or not, sneakerheads and bot users are scalpers and Pokemon investors. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of sneakerheads came in the hobby saying, hey, I am going to make money off of Pokemon cards, whether that being a scalper or being a self-ascribed Pokemon investor. And what that means that with the bot users is, I've seen this before. I've seen tons of influencers, I've seen TikTokers, Instagram influencers, Pokemon YouTubers saying that, hey, if you want to get access to these Pokemon cards, you're going to have to become a bot user. And you're also going to have to join my Discord community. And I see that a lot. I see both sides using these sources, going in and basically, cheating, in my opinion. Glitching the system. And they ended up looking like this. You see this picture right here? All the 151, all these boxes here. What's the difference between an investor and a scalper? I'm asking right now. Is this a scalper or is this an investor? Because in my eyes, this is both. This picture captures why I think that Pokemon investors and Pokemon scalpers are basically the same thing. They buy the most amount they possibly can. Because at the end of the day, it's about profit. It's about making money. It's about enlarging your portfolio or your wallet or whatever. It's basically getting profit. And by doing that, you have to buy as much as you can. Or, and there's some nuance as always. Some Pokemon investors will be like, yo, this is dumb. Why are you buying the poster collections? You should buy more booster boxes. Booster boxes have more better returns, blah, 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 blah. Investment talk, investment talk. Scalpers, again, they see this as well, and they're going to be like, hey, that's going to be a lot to unload. I think you misplace your faith in these poster collections. You're not going to be able to sell these in bulk orders. People are not going to buy 50 poster collections all at once. And I think that's also a message as well I want to emphasize is if you are a Pokemon investor with this amount of product, how are you going to sell this in 5 to 10 years? If this retailed for $15 and now it's going to be worth, I don't know, $100 or whatever in 10 years by like 2030, how are you going to find someone willing to buy all this Pokemon cards? And I've seen this actually lately. Because as the bubble is bursting, because we live in a bubble right now, let's be real, there's way more Pokemon scalpers and Pokemon investors buying everything out than casual fans and collectors. How are you going to get rid of all of your sealed products? How are you going to tell someone on Facebook Marketplace or wherever, hey guys, I have approximately $9,000 worth of Pokemon cards. Can I get 80% of that? And no one's going to buy that. And this is my cautionary tale to anyone who wants to be either a scalper or investor in this market is eventually the bubble is going to burst. The bubble, the Pokemon hype, whatever you want to call it, it takes one set that basically everyone's going to a stack of cards. Everything's going to collapse. No one's going to be willing to buy Pokemon cards. People are going to be saving their dollars instead of paying scalper or premium prices and market prices, whatever you want to call it. And I think at this point, and this concept, this whole idea of there being differences of Pokemon scalpers, Pokemon investors, there is. This whole situation is cooked. And I think that there's a lot of reasons why that there's been a rise of Pokemon investors. There's been a rise of Pokemon scalpers. There's been a rise of just a lack of available products in the market. And my thought, in my opinion, is that people are just being greedy for no fucking reason. They're just buying everything out. And at the end of the day, I personally think that Pokemon investors and Pokemon scalpers are in the same bubble, In my eyes, it's just one bubble, which is the purple bubble. But I recognize that there is nuance. There is differences between the pair. And there is differences between a Pokemon collector who has sealed product and a Pokemon investor who has, who's exclusively buys everything out just based on the value of the cards themselves. And so I think a lot of words have been said about me lately, and I want to be crystal clear. I don't have a shop. I don't sell Pokemon cards. I don't have a secret side hustle where I'm pitching pennies and selling Pokemon cards on the side here. And I think for me, I have a sealed collection. I do. And I plan to open it. I plan to ideally, go through all of it eventually. And I feel like that a lot of folks are just confused about all these labels. And in my eyes, the label that means a lot is the one that you put yourself on. So my definitions, obviously, you don't have to listen to me. I'm not an expert with this. I am not a financial advisor. I don't have a finance degree. I'm not going to tell you what you should think. But I'm going to tell you my opinion. And my opinion is backed by evidence of screenshots. It's going to be backed by, case examples of people doing the same shit for the past, 5 years now. And I think that you are entitled to your own opinion, and you can have whatever thought you want. I just think that sometimes people get lost in the sauce. And it is to be said that not everything is, black and white. I'm sure that there's content creators out there who make products and who cover things, make content basically saying, hey, I'm not a scalper, I'm not a Pokemon investor, but I'm giving people financial advice. And then I go and I say, yeah, well, that basically means you're a Pokemon investor then. You're advocating and putting this whole nuance of Pokemon card finance, making profits, All that stuff is financial Wall Street bet talk, and basically is Pokemon investing in that bubble. And then I'm gonna see people who just says, who have like, oh, look at this Pokemon card I got. It's so rare, it costs a little bit of money. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna see people who are gonna be like, I have, 3 ETBs. Am I a scalper or investor? And I'll be like, no, you're not. But I think there's a lot of cases and a lot of people who are definitely doing that, like edging the line here, where they have like, I have 100 ETBs. Well, yeah, you're probably a scalper or at least a Pokemon investor, which means to me you're probably going to sell it eventually. Because one, how do you have all that money? And again, it's all about the money. It's always about the money. Follow the money. And I think that, to conclude this rant here, I apologize, the money in the hobby is sick. It's bad. And what I mean by that usually is, it doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. I feel like the people who buy into this nonsense of like, I want to make profit, I want to make money, for me, it is cringe. People who make thrones of like large amounts of Pokemon cards, whether that be to invest or to scalp and flip, I think is cringe. I think subjectively, if you're putting like that much stake, much value into Pokemon cards, I think it is cringe. And I say this because like, right now this market is cooked. People can't find Pokemon cards. You go to a Walmart, you go to Target, you go anywhere, you can't find shit. And so when I see people posting themselves saying, look how much Pokemon cards I have, look how much I've gathered, and it's just like embarrassing for me, because I know that a lot of parents are going to be unfortunately telling their kids in Christmas and the holidays that they couldn't find anything at all, because that's how dumb the market is right now. And that's like my problem. That's what the point of this channel is to expose scalpers, expose people who are being greedy, expose overconsumption, and exposing like people just buying shit because they want to make money off of it. I'm not telling people how they should feel about this either. I'm just telling my own opinion. And at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to me. I can have my own opinions. And honestly, the point of this channel, the point of making this content has always been for me. I just like talking. I don't really care about what people say and push back, but I always have a conversation. And in fact, I think a lot of folks have been pushing me to make a content video like this. Like, hey, Kenny Boulder, what's the difference between the two? Why are you calling people, scalpers when they're investors? And again, baby, end of the day, to me, they're the same fucking thing. So I just think that it's kind of funny because I've never hid my opinions, and it's like you just gotta watch the video. But obviously, this is gonna be a longer video, and most folks are not gonna listen the whole way through, and they're gonna find like 60-second sound bites, and they're gonna post that because everyone right now just cares about the sound bites. And full disclosure, yeah, I have a seal collection, but no, I'm not a Pokemon investor, and no, I'm not a scalper. I don't have a shop. I don't sell anything other like, on a website. I don't have an Etsy or whatever, or Makiri or an eBay. I don't have any of that. And I pride myself because I take pride of being just like, I buy what I want and what I want to rip. I don't buy 40 ETBs and have like 30 in my garage. I don't. And so, in conclusion of this video, guys, I hope you enjoyed this Venn diagram of Kenny Boulder. And I hope you enjoyed me going through some old screenshots and telling you my opinion. And again, you don't have to listen to me, guys. I think that influencers, culture, I think that people who are just having social media, they're just people with opinions. End of the day, no one is right or wrong, but I'm always right and wrong in my opinion. There you go. See? Like, you don't have to listen to us influencers or content creators. And I think the end of the day is that what shows me more about the current state of the hobby is just the amount of product that people are hoarding. And unfortunately, people are willing to post that shit on the internet. And it's hard to take that off the internet. And it's kind of funny for me because I have screenshots and pictures of scalpers and Pokemon investors for the last like 4 or 5 years now. And for me, it's like, I can always look back in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm happy being the content creator, the collector that I am today. I'm sure some of those folks might have regrets one day. of, yeah, I kind of bought way too much, or maybe I shouldn't, spent all of 2023 being a Pokemon scalper. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe they're happy about it, End of the day, there is an argument saying that money does bring you happiness. But for me, that doesn't really apply. Because I feel like buying that much and selling that much does not make me feel good. I feel like that it would probably be detrimental for the Pokemon community if everyone bought way more than they should, because we're denying the future generation, which is kids. I think at the end of the day, I make these videos because I have empathy and I feel bad for parents, for kids, for collectors, for average fans. And so take that with a grain of salt. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I want to give a huge shout out to Opossum Bud for pushing me into making this video. I've been wanting to make this video for the past few weeks now, because obviously one of my videos blew up with a Pokemon investor. She, I made colorful commentary about her throne, and this is also in response to that as well, because people are just always in the comments, hey man, you're just jealous, why are you making this video? And it's like, dude, I've had these opinions for a while, and people just love to it's easy for me to criticize and critique when people are just open about flex posting. It's flex posting, it's being greedy, and yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and comment. We're almost to 9,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. So have a great day. I'll see you next time. Take care.